Well, just when I thought I was going to take some days off, the Reds decided to hire Terry Francona.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to a bonus episode of Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Call me Sully. Today's bonus episode is brought to you by Booking.com, more like Booking.yeah. The right stake of making a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today at Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the app today. I was saying, all right, I'll do my next show at the end of the weekend, and I'm wrapping up. I got to go to work later. And then I just see that Terry Francona is going to be the new manager of the Cincinnati Reds. I'm absolutely stunned by this, but for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's a very aggressive move by the Cincinnati Reds, who got rid of David Bell with less than a week to go in the season, and Freddie Benavides gets to tell his grandchildren that he was the manager of the Cincinnati Reds for 5 days, as he goes back to Laredo, Texas. Freddie Benavides from Laredo, Texas, will have a grandchild bouncing on his knee and say, "Grandpa, tell me about the one game you won as manager." And he could do that, and good for him. He is now in the lore of great managers in Reds history. But here comes Terry Francona. Now, Terry Francona is obviously a high-profile managerial acquisition for Cincinnati. Obviously, this is something that's going to get the fan bases happy, especially because Bell, like Francona, is part of an illustrious baseball family. You know, David Bell is part of a great baseball tradition. He's the grandson of Gus Bell, the son of All-Star Buddy Bell. His brother Mike Bell played. It's a great baseball family, but he was the manager for just about 6 years and had 2 good years. He had the COVID season. They made the playoffs there. He had a winning season in 2021. He had a winning season in 2023, just barely. Had a 100-loss season in between that and couldn't put a winning product on the field despite having a ton of talent. And they needed to do something because, at some point you say, all right, it's not working. And so that they didn't just come in and say, hey, we found this guy you've never heard of. He's never managed in the big leagues, but he's friends with the GM and he loves sabermetrics. We're seeing that sometimes bringing back some veteran managers. It certainly worked with Bochy. It worked with Dusty Baker. Bringing back some veteran managers to dust them off and say, okay, let's see you win some ball games here. The Reds are trying that turn. Now, Mark Feinstein of the MLB.com announced it, and that you're seeing that this team there's a lot of talent on this Reds team. Spencer Steer, Ellie De La Cruz, Hunter Green, Matt McClain. They've got players coming up through the farm system. There's some talent on the team. It's also the National League Central, which is a vulnerable division. We just saw the Milwaukee Brewers get eliminated today. The Brewers are going to lose some players, probably Willie Adames, and we're not sure who the Cubs are. We're not sure who the Pirates are. The Pirates should make a managerial change too. We're not sure who the Cardinals are. This is exactly the type of division that you hope that a manager who can change the culture can maybe, have them bump up a few games. Now, Francona is 65. He's not a spring chicken. And he left the Guardians last year, and I was under the impression he had some health issues. Or maybe I was under the impression, because he did have some health issues earlier in the years before that he was like, hey, I'm in my mid-60s. I've won 3 pennants, 2 World Series titles. I'm going to go to the Hall of Fame. I'm going to enjoy my life. And maybe like Bruce Bochy, he was like, I'll enjoy my life later. Let me see if I can manage another team. And Terry Francona has his eyes on turning the Reds, one of the many teams he played for as a player, to get them back to the World Series for the first time since 1990. Hell, get them to the League Championship Series for the first time since 1995. And of course, he managed the Phillies for a few years. He took over the Red Sox in 04. They won the World Series in 04. They won the World Series in 07. They got back to the League Championship Series in 2008. They had the great collapse in 2011, which cost him his job. He got picked up by the Indians. That's what they were called then. And they had a big turnaround. They went to the playoffs his first year in 2013. And in 2016, they got to within one swing of winning the World Series. If Francisco Lindor or Carlos Santana or Jason Kipnis had hit a home run off of Aroldis Chapman in the bottom of the ninth, Cleveland would have won the World Series. Now, the Cubs won it, but Cleveland did get to Game 7 of the World Series. And then the next year, they went on the 21-game win streak, and Cleveland was a contender for almost every year that Terry Francona was the manager of the club. Well, now Cleveland is terrific, and Vogt is in charge of the team. And I didn't think I was going to see Francona back as a manager, but then again, I didn't think I was going to see Bochy back as a manager either. So I think this is a fantastic move. It's a fantastic move, especially when you take a look at the state. As I said, you take a look at the state of the other teams in the division. We're not sure what the hell the Cardinals are. The Pirates, the fact that they're nickel and diming Rowdy Tellez over $200,000. Yeah, good luck having a free agent sign in Pittsburgh, knowing that that's the way the organization works. Milwaukee, we all thought they were going to take a step back this year, and they were one Devin Williams pitch away from getting back to the division series this year. It didn't work out. So we're going to see. Are the Reds going to be a team that turns it around? Are the Reds going to be a team that takes some of their young stars? And if you're a free agent on the Reds, are you going to have second thoughts about maybe I'll stick around, see what's happening here? Francona has as great a reputation of any manager in baseball, and players love him. And teams win under him. And he's exactly the type of manager to tell Reds fans, yeah, we're serious about this. Operation Dusty Baker, Operation Bruce Bochy. Let's bring in a quality manager to take the team and bring it up to the next level. So we'll see what happens. I'm absolutely stunned by this, but I think it's a lot of fun. And I would love to see Cincinnati, one of the sleeping giants of fan bases, explode. You know, when you see teams have a giant fan base, I wrote about this back in 2011 when I used to do articles for the Hardball Times. And I was saying Cincinnati should be a regional team the way that the Red Sox are in New England. You got the great tradition going all the way back to the 19th century with the Reds, but you've got lots of other cities around it. You have Louisville, you have Columbus, you have Dayton, you have Frankfurt, you have all these different cities around. You have Indianapolis that should all be part of Reds country. The idea that they have the reputation of being a small market team, I find absurd. Yeah, Cincinnati's not the biggest city, probably not even the biggest city in Ohio, but a quality team there could siphon off fans and get a regional fan base for the Cincinnati Reds. And maybe, just maybe, under Francona, you can see this team start to turn it around. My first suggestion, hire Joey Votto to be the first base coach. First base coach should always be a fan favorite player. Do you know why? What do you do as a first base coach? Say, all right, hold on. Back when they throw over. Say, oh, run to second. So it should always be a fan favorite because you always see the first base coach when someone hits a single. Well, good work there, Cincinnati Reds. This is a shortened bonus episode. You already got my thoughts on the Mets beating the Brewers. And if I waited just 25 minutes, I would have included this as the last segment of that show. But here we go. So follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter or whatever it's called now, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. All right, now I'm leaving for the night. Unless, I don't know, the Brewers wind up deciding they're going to move to Nashville. If there's any other big baseball news, we're going to have to wait to the end of the weekend. I'm Paul Francis Sullivan. You can call me Sully.